Hey everybody, it's Kira and welcome back to my channel. So today I have my January wrap-up and haul for you guys. So I didn't buy way too many books this past month, so that's good. And I only read 4 books. So we will just get right into it. So first up, I bought the box set edition of the Percy Jackson series, mostly because I have a cool plan that I'm working on with these. So I'm excited to have new copies also because mine are very well loved, as you can see by the fact that my copy of The Lightning Thief is missing a back corner. I'll probably always keep these copies because I think all 4 of me and my 3 siblings have all read these copies of the books, but it's just good and nice to have fresh new copies. And yeah, I have exciting plans that I'm hoping to do this year, sometime this year with them. So there's that. And then the other 2 were just kind of mostly impulse buys that I couldn't help myself. So one is Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr. So I read the All the Light We Cannot See by him, and I really, really liked it. This is his newest book that came out last year in September, I believe, or the year before, don't remember. And I started to read it at one point in time, but I just wasn't in the right mood for it, and it's kind of a big book, so I was like, I'm gonna put it back. But it was sitting at my library, so at my library there's we have a little cart that's our mini library book sale that we always have going on, and this was sitting on there for 2 months, and I was like, I really want to get it, but I'm gonna wait because I work there, so I'm not gonna be there every day, and or I'm there every day, so I don't want to take it from a patron, but nobody else picked it up, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna buy this then. So bought that. And then the other one is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I am so excited for the show. I read this for the first time last year and really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, now there's an Amazon Prime TV show that's coming out next month, which I'm so psyched for. And so I was like, oh, I want to reread it before the show comes out. Sorry if the lighting changes. It's because I have my window open and the sun is going behind clouds and stuff. But yeah, so I wanted to read it before the show comes out next month. And I put it on hold at the library, and I think I was number 10 or 15 or something. I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to actually get this before the show comes out. And then I was at Target with my friends, and I was like, actually, I'm just gonna buy it because I know that it's one that I want to reread a few times, and especially with the fact that the show is coming out. Also, it has all of the lyrics to the songs in the back here, which I don't remember if, I'm assuming anyways, the original book does too. But the cool thing with the show is that they have an album coming out in real life from Daisy Jones and the Six, which I'm super excited about. There is one song out right now, Regret Me, I know is out right now. So I just wanted to also get it because of the lyrics in the back of the book. I think that's fun too, but I'm very excited to reread this. Alright, so that is it for my haul section. So now we'll move into the books that I finished in the month of January. So first up, this is not going to be chronological order, just you'll see why in a minute. But the first book I'm going to talk about is Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. So I started reading this last year and then finished it up in January. So this is my first C.S. Lewis book of his that I've read that wasn't entirely fictional. I don't know if Screwtape Letters, if you want to count that in his religious stuff, his books on Christianity and whatnot. Screwtape Letters is very, very fascinating. But obviously I've heard lots of things about Mere Christianity, and it was funny reading it. I was like, oh, I know that quote, and I know that quote, and I've definitely heard that quote before. There's a lot of famous quotes of his that are in this book, but it just kind of goes through a lot of what Christianity is about, which I found very fascinating. So the beginning part of it is a little bit harder to understand because it's just how we prove there is a God in general and good versus evil a little bit. But I think the middle section the most, which is more about how to live as a day-to-day Christian. And then the ending is a little bit more of that and whatnot. I don't know. I thought it was really interesting, and my goal this year is to read some more of my like good for you books, is what I call them. So either nonfiction or like self-help or spiritual help kind of books, because I have so many of them and I will never pick them up if they're just sitting on my bookshelf. So I read this mostly in 15-minute increments, which I found is a good enough time for me to still get something out of it, but also not be like forcing myself to read it. So anyways, yeah, it was really interesting. I highly recommend. He's a really good speaker. He also very much like will give different metaphors multiple times. So he's like, explained one way, this thing is this. And he's like, another way to explain it is this. And he'll give like a different metaphor for it. And he'll be like, sometimes he'll even be a third metaphor. He's like, if you don't understand those two, how about this? Which I found very helpful too. So yeah, glad to have read it. And then I finally started my reread of The Raven Cycle. So I read the first 3 books this past month, and then I'm like halfway through The Raven King right now as I'm filming this. So we'll start off with, those are falling over, The Raven Boys. So the funniest thing about reading this series, so I read this series for the first time 4 years ago and haven't reread it since then, and it really showed because I remembered absolutely nothing. I remember a couple big things, like the revelation about Noah in this one was one of the things I remembered. I remembered, what else did I even remember? It was like stuff about Ronan and the dreams in The Dream Thieves. I remember Blue Lily, Lily Blue being my favorite of the bunch. I remember the pining between Blue and Gansey, and I remember like her and Adam and what happens there, and then Adam and Ronan, like stuff happening there. And I remember the deal that Adam makes at the end of Raven Boys too. I do remember that. Other than that, before I started rereading these books, I remembered almost nothing about it. The one thing I love about this series is the way that it's written. It very much leaves you to figure out on your own what the text is saying, where it will give enough context for you to understand what it's talking about, but sometimes it won't like actually come out and say like explicitly like this means this, or like this happened to this person. It'll kind of not talk around it, but it'll be like give it a context and then have a character's reaction as they realize what it means, which I found very fascinating. Also, just the writing style in general in these books is really good. So what I'm going to do, I also have my amazing reading journal, which I've been getting to use, which I love so much, made by my amazing friend Kat. So we'll do, my thought was to share one of my favorite food for thought questions from each book. Okay, so for The Raven Boys, so one of the questions is, what was the best part? And so my answer was the group bantering back and forth. Also the way the tension builds from Ronan beating Adam's father to Adam leaving on his own, and the argument between Gansey and Adam in the car. Ouch. So yes, the banter between between all of the main characters is my favorite thing. One of my absolute favorite things about this series. It's so magical and amazing, but then also you have just this group of teenagers who get on each other's nerves a lot of the time, but also really love each other and are willing to have fun with each other as well as banter and argue as well. So yeah, I just love them so much. So then we have The Dream Thieves. I believe this is my least favorite of this series, but it was interesting because there was so much that I'd forgotten about like who Ronan is and his character and his family too. I just remembered that he is the dreamer basically in this series. So I remembered that, but that was kind of it. And him and Kavinsky, I forgot how much I really disliked Kavinsky in this. He's so annoying. And the ending of this blew my mind. I did not remember that at all. I'm trying to like keep it vaguely spoiler free, but you know. These books have been out for a long time, so not really my fault if it gets spoiled. Let's see. Oh, that's right. One of the questions in the food for thought section for the second book that I read was, if you could have anything from this book, what would you take? Which I thought was really funny because it happened to fall for The Dream Thieves, where you have a character who can take things from his dreams. So I put, fantastic question for this book, I think Chainsaw. The Chainsaw the Bird is just such a fun part of it. I love Chainsaw just as like a silly little pet, but Ronan actually cares about her, and I like that she just kind of sticks around throughout all of the books, and I don't know, I think it'd be fun to have a pet bird. At least that specific bird. And then we have Blue Lily, Lily Blue, and let's see, what question should I choose? Oh, interesting question. Is this a story you would or wouldn't want to become a movie? Why or why not? And I actually said no, because I think it would be super difficult to capture the magic described in the book. But not just like, I stand by that answer, by the way. I don't think I would want an adaptation of The Raven Boys unless if it was like very specifically done. Just because I think so much of the book's magic and whimsy comes from the writing style and the way that the writing captures the atmosphere of it. And there's just so much like internally going on with the characters that would be really hard to translate on screen, that I don't think it would make as good of an adaptation. Like, I think the adaptation would always be letting us down in some way or another. I just don't think it would lend itself well because of like the way that these are written. The story itself is very fascinating, and I love having like the psychics and like their relationship, and like being able to see the different locations would be super cool. And also Caveswater would be so amazing too. Can you imagine like seeing Caveswater? It would be so cool. But then like, because like there's so much going on, because each of these characters have something special and unique and magical about them, and like how they each deal with that like connection to the magical is different for each of them, and I just don't think that you'd be able to translate that well on screen as you can get it in the book. So that was my answer to that question. Also, just a side note, I've been loving using this book. My friend is so talented. So I haven't quite finished filling this out, but I have my what days did I read, so I only didn't read for one day in the month of January. And then here is my ranking of the first 3 Raven Cycle books. That, yeah, you'll see lots more of this throughout the rest of the year. It's my favorite thing that I own, I think. It's the way that I just ended this video and forgot about this that I have to talk about. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. All right, so I forgot literally the most exciting thing that happened in the month of January. I got an editing job for a local author. I'm not going to say who or what or anything because it's not completely done, like the book is not done yet. But I got an editing job for, like I said, just a freelance editing job for a local author who's writing a children's book. So it had been a long time since I've read, like, I don't know, are these considered probably middle grade, but like younger middle grade, like Magic Tree House and Junie B. Jones and that sort of age range / type of book kind of thing. I mean, it's been like forever since I've read any of those. So I was like, I should probably know what those kinds of books sound like as far as like voice and tone and word usage and stuff. So I read 19 of them in like 2 weeks. So I'm not counting these towards my like yearly reading goal, although like if I end up like really struggling towards the end of the year, maybe I will include them just to say that I read them. But yeah, I also read a huge stack of books, so I will just run through them quickly. I got like a very wide variety. The nice thing about working at the library is the fact that like I basically was there before we opened, and all of my like morning duties were done and I had a couple extra minutes, so I went to the children's section and just like grabbed them off the shelves and was like, I'll read this and I'll read this and I'll read this. Most of them I had never read before. I think maybe only I got Dinosaurs Before Dark, so I definitely had read this one. And I think actually that was the only one that I had read previously before reading all of these. So that was kind of cool too, to just get to see what some of these were, because some of them were ones that, yeah, I had not checked out the series for. So yeah, so we have Dinosaurs Before Dark by Mary Pope Osborne. We have Junie B. Jones' Boss of Lunch by, who is this by? Barbara Park. She was a brat. I can see why I did not ever read these, because my mom, I don't think my mom would have let me read them. She's a very, very much a brat. We have Ivy Plus Bean. I'm not going to say the author for all of these, I'm sorry. If you want to look into them, feel free. We have The Critter Club, Amy and the Missing Puppy. Sophia Martinez, My Fantastica Family. Clementine, this is really cute. She's also a little bit annoying, but also just like perfect in her age range, like made total sense the way that her brain worked. So really well done, enjoyed it. Heidi Heckelbeck lends a helping hand. Her Maids, The Scaredy Cat. I Survived the Destruction of Pompeii. We have a bunch of these at the library. They're also in graphic novel form, which I would be very interested in reading actually. Cam Jansen and the Mystery of the Stolen Diamonds. I think I maybe had read a few Cam Jansen ones before actually, now that I say that, but I didn't remember this one at all. The A to Z Mysteries, The X'd Out X-Ray. I Survived Hurricane Katrina. Boxcar Children, Mystery Ranch. I had never read any Boxcar Children, and this is number 4, so it's still like early on, but we didn't have a number 1 at the library, so I just kind of went with this. A to Z Mysteries, A to Z Mysteries, The Deadly Dungeon. Katie Wu, Every Day's an Adventure. Judy Moody and the Bad Luck Charm. Ramona the Pest. I also had never read any Ramona books, which was kind of surprising. The Big Idea Gang, Be the Change. And Disaster Strikes Tornado Alley. This one I was very impressed with actually too. So I also read those 19 books. Now on to the end of the video. So yeah, those are all the books that I read and bought in the month of January. Comment down below, let me know if you've read any of these and what your thoughts were. If you enjoy the Raven Cycle, love to chat in the comments. There's just so much in these books that they're so good. And I forgot like just how much I loved them. And I'm looking forward to rereading them at some point in time. I'd love to annotate them too, I think, at some point, just because they're just so good. So, yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you want to follow me on social media, all my links will be in the description as always. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!